It is great to be back here recording Staggered Stance, episode 204. We kind of spontaneously took off last week. Last week was kind of an off week. We're sorry about that for those who jumped in Tuesday morning to find out there was no episode. We missed you too. We did have some get-togethers on Labor Day there. It was fantastic. Guys, how you doing? Josh, I saw you. How you doing?
Yeah, doing good. I saw Ben also.
Oh, that's right.
We were
At
together.
least for a bit. Yeah, so it was good. Just beautiful weather in New England. You know, Labor Day is always a nice day to rest from labor. So it was good. Yeah, it was a great time.
And then Evan, how's New Hampshire?
It's good. Yeah. Apparently I wasn't invited to this Graham Kenny family reunion, but that's okay. No hard
Next time.
feelings.
I was the only Kenny there, if that makes you feel any better.
That does make me feel better. Thanks, Ben. But yeah, I had a great day. I don't remember what I did. I'm sure I was just relaxing or getting outside a little bit. The weather has been fantastic. I don't want to undervalue how amazing New England's been for like the last 50 days. Have all been fantastic.
Nice.
Pretty much. And the forecast is still fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I'm not questioning it, and I'm just enjoying life. So no complaints.
Yeah, so Ben lives in Leicester, and he was just nearby. You know, we're not even good friends or anything. It was just like, hey, Ben, swing by the new place. He goes, yeah, actually, can I park there for a league? And I'm like, oh, you just want to use my house? Okay, I got you. So that's why he came. But no,
exactly.
He brought his fiance, and that was pretty cool. And Ben, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Just got done.
I saw you.
I saw you there. I just got done Pyramid Survivor League, which is always a great time. Very, very nervy event, and I got out pretty early. But hey, I got to be here on time, so that's a good thing.
All right. In the chat, let me know if he's a little quiet, Ben. It's unusual to ask that question, but I'll adjust him if he is. Okay. So, yeah. Well, no, you're screaming. Put it back. I'm the master
That was a
of the
joke.
controls. Okay.
That was a joke.
Shout out to some of the people we saw at where were we, Ben? Maple Hill, the Masters tour. We saw some friends there. I think from Florida. We saw a barbecue at
JT Disc Golf. Yes, JT. Shout out. Yes, you were there. I didn't see you there. That's why I was confused when you said we.
Everywhere. So, anyways, shout out to the people we met. It's always great to see in person. Maple Hill is primed and ready. We're only a couple weeks out. All that being said, there's a local here that ships internationally, known as Disc Golf 978. Their logo is on screen always for our viewing audience. You can see it. They presented this episode. They presented all the episodes this year. We are so happy to be partnered with them. I think if Scott was a guy who wanted to be interviewed on our show, we would do it. But he always feels like he's like, I'm the back behind the scenes kind of guy, because we could do a whole episode talking about all of his strategies, why he's doing what he's doing, how he's doing it. And everyone would just be like, I need to support even more Disc Golf 978. And this is true for anywhere around the country and the world. I just signed up for 2 of his events. I haven't played a tournament all year, mainly investing in my kids' tournaments. But I looked for Disc Golf 978's events, signed up for those because it's the best experience. Also signed my kids up for that. By the way, imagine registering for a tournament and paying for 2 other people plus you. So 3 every time you do it. Tournaments are expensive. I'm like, oh my goodness. And he doesn't even have expensive tournaments. So I look at it this way, and this is the win. When I play a 978 event, I think 2 of them that I'm signed up for, the player pack is automatic credit back to my account at 978. So it's kind of like I'm doing a savings for disc golf. It's crazy, but it is. I'm just banking money for Disc Golf 978. And then if you win or place well, you get more. I'm telling you, it is the best setup Disc Golf 978 has going. They're fantastic people. If you're in New England, you'll sometimes get to have the trailer there, Tournament Central. If you're in New England, you got to come out to Meadowbrook Orchards. Where is it located, Ben? What town?
Sterling, Massachusetts.
That's right. Sterling, Massachusetts. Shout out to Dave Chandler over there. Holds down Meadowbrook Orchards, setting a course up there. And Disc Golf 978 on premise. Again, go shop Disc Golf 978. We love 978. Use the code We Love 978. In store is fantastic. Online, best prices, free shipping over $25. And
wait, actually,
go ahead.
Sorry, I thought this was the coolest thing ever.
Do it.
Recently that Disc Golf 978. So so they have an apparel shop called First Available Printing. It's under Disc Golf 978. They just announced, which I think absolutely the coolest thing, one of the coolest thing of business, because they don't have to do this. They announced that you can use your Disc Golf 978 funny money on their apparel shop. So if you are like a pro or an amateur and you want to get like I get hooligan disc printed on my shirt from Disc Golf 978. They did it for me. And then you can use your funny money for anything. If you want to start a brand, let's say you have a landscaping and you just have a bunch of Disc Golf 978 funny money, you could literally just make a shirt of your landscaping company for your staff or whatever. I think that's absolutely the coolest thing I've ever seen, because they didn't have to do that at all, but they did.
Yeah, it's not even, that money's not even funny anymore. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like real. Like you could literally just create your own brand and just resell the shirts for more. Like Disc Golf 978 could literally make you profitable by playing their tournaments.
It's DG currency. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know lots of others are trying to do it, but we love 978. Genuinely fantastic people over there, Scott and Melissa. But the brand, everything you guys are doing, I hope people hear us talk about this and realize that we're actually genuine with this.
Yes.
Go out of your way to support Disc Golf 978. There's lots of fantastic brands out there. And you know who's the first to say that? Disc Golf 978. Really, like they're not a cutthroat company. They're like, hey, we're in this. We're trying to do it. They're trying to do it. They're fantastic. We're trying to do it the best we can. So support everybody. And they would say the same thing, but we're trying to send a lot of support their way. So thank you, Disc Golf 978. Okay. Without further ado, there's a Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Plus that just happened. D-Glow. Evan from Statmando PDGA is here to tell us what went down, because there was a lot that went down. Give it to us.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, well, D-Glow, the Discraft's Great Lakes Open, long time running event. This started at least in the 1980s. I'm not sure the exact year they started, but quite a number of years that this event's been running. And I mean, as of late, at the toboggan course outside of, say, Detroit, Michigan, but in the Michigan area. And it joined the Disc Golf Pro Tour in 2018, and I believe it was a playoff event last year. Now it's elevated to a DGPT Plus event. So very cool, iconic event, iconic course, 4 rounds, some switching up some A and B positions, but it obviously known for its elevation. Lots of going up and down. I don't think there's maybe a single hole that goes sideways on the hill. I think they intentionally designed it to always go up or down. I don't even know if there's a flat hole in that course either. I'd have to do a review. I mean, maybe hole 16 actually, now that I think about it. But 17 out of 18 holes maybe are either uphill or downhill. An incredible event. We had Holland Hanley coming back from maybe a disappointing final round at Worlds just 2 weeks ago to win this event. It's her 3rd Disc Golf Pro Tour win of the year. 2nd of that's a Disc Golf Pro Tour Plus. She won Ledgestone maybe a month or so ago and getting yet another win. If people haven't been noticing how good Holland Hanley's season is, please notice now. She has 18 major elite starts on the season. 17 of those are top 10s. So 17 out of 18 in the top 10. And out of those last 10 events, all of them have been in the top 5. She is on a heater of a record. Her only outside of top 10 finish on the year was back in March at the Open at Austin, where she finished 16th. And 10 straight top 5s on the year so far of the last 10 events. Highest streak of any active players who have played in 2024 in FPO for major and elite series events. The next is Evelina Salonen, who notably has 7 straight, which is very good as well. But
can you tell us real quick, where does she in the point standings?
Oh, she's got to be
in Pro Tour points. Yeah, she's
like
first in Pro Tour.
Okay, yeah, way back. I might have selective memory, but I know we talked about, you said, how's Holland going to finish out all this? Do you think better or worse or whatever? And I was like, oh, I think I'm rolling the dice. She's going to do it. And here she is doing it.
We
Big
gotta roll the tape on
We
that.
gotta roll the tape, 'cause
I
I
remember we
remember.
had that discussion. Now that
Okay,
you
you
say
do
it,
remember
but
it. Okay, you do.
yeah, I
Okay.
don't remember what her answers were,
I
so
don't know.
we'll
Have
have
to
to
go
do some
find it.
research there. But yeah, she leads the disc golf pro tour points by roughly 30, 33, 34 over Missy Gannon. But I think key point is we're heading into playoff season. We got the Green Mountain Championship and MVP Open, which are both Disc Golf Pro Tour playoff events. And what that means is worth 150 points, I believe, for the winner. But the key is no drops. Whatever you get here counts. It's a different grouping of events than any other of the year. Majors, you only get your top two. Disc Golf Pro Tour and Disc Golf Pro Tour Plus events are combined into the same grouping, although Disc Golf Pro Tour Plus events are worth more like this one, but they're in the same grouping and you only can count your top 10. So every event you're playing over 10, you're dropping points. So like Kristen Tatar, for instance, I don't think she played all 10 of the Disc Golf Pro Tour levels. So she was, drop or essentially had to have a 0 point event counting. But anyways, Disc Golf Pro Tour playoff, there's no drops. So it's just whatever points you get at this event is what points you get. So there's a lot more movement here. And Missy Gannon wins this event and she jumps into first. Lots of movement. I don't feel like I need to maybe drill that down in as much as possible, but also the best players are at the top of the standings already. So we'll see how it shakes out. But I did want to share a stat, how Holland Hanley has been in an incredible run of 10 straight top fives. Like that is amazing. And it sounds amazing, but how quickly disc golf has evolved. Valerie Jenkins went 106 straight major Elite Series events, finishing in the top five from 2006 to 2015. That's insane.
What?
And Tatar
That's a
maxed out
real
at
stat?
24. Yeah. I don't believe those words when I say it. Like, it's to the point where I'm going to recheck my calculation because every single time
I mean,
it just
like
doesn't
obviously
make sense.
the era of
But-
disc golf's adjusting and changing, so there's some of that to consider. But I don't care like what the context is. That number is pretty nuts.
Yeah, and for my own sanity, even though I trusted my work, yes, top fives. I didn't enter in top tens by accident. No, top fives. And then Kristen
Fact or
Tatar
fiction?
said started out at 24. It's that moment. It's like
I
you have
know.
a stat so crazy you doubt it, but it just thinks that one time messed up. But anyways, moving on. Holland Hanley was leading into the final round of this one. And I think that's notable to bring up because we saw at Worlds her leading into the final round and it didn't go so well towards the end and unfortunately lost the lead. And we saw Evelina Salonen win. But you see a lot of these, how does Holland play in the final round? And so in her career at major and Elite Series events, 9 times has she been leading into the final round, and that's outright or tied. The first 5 times it happened, she lost all 5. So 2023 Music City Open was the first, then we saw DDO later that year. Then this year we've seen Chess.com, Music City Open, and OTB. She lost all of those. A lot of those were tied in the final round, but she still went on to lose. But then something switched. The last 4 times that she has been leading into the final round, she has won 3 of those. So PDGA Pro Worlds is the only one she has lost, while she has gone on to win Beaver State Fling, Ledgestone, and now D-Glow. So I think it's a clear transition in her records as of late, and she has been good at closing it down and winning pretty handedly, if I will make a pun myself. So to keep this moving, Matt, I'll throw it over to you. Just reactions for Holland Hanley getting this another big win.
Well, I've had high hopes for her. It always seemed like she couldn't carry a lead into a final round, but that's since the tide has changed for a little while now. And I think what happened at Worlds, fluke isn't the right word, but we talked about some of the ways those holes played, and I don't think it was her blowing up. I think she had to swallow her medicine on that course and just walk away from it. And I think this is just a demonstration that she's beyond anything where it's lingering like, hey, I can't take down an event. I think the potential here is for her to get even better. I think she does have a higher ceiling. I think she still has some refinement to do, but she's really good. So congrats to her. This is a big one to take down coming into the end of the season.
All right. And then to hit it over to Ganon Buhr, who gets yet another Disc Golf Pro Tour win. That's 4 out of 4 on the season. He won Waco, Portland Open, Ledgestone, and now D-Glow, all the Disc Golf Pro Tour events. Oh my goodness, all the Disc Golf Pro Tour Plus events. That's a key distinction. That would be very much more insane to win all the Disc Golf Pro Tour events. But notably, all have been 4-rounders as well. And he won European Open, which was a 4-rounder. He didn't win, PDGA Champions Cup. That went to Andrew Presnell. And then Worlds was a 5-rounder. But the longer the event, the track record is going towards, Ganon Buhr having the advantage, number one player in the world. And I need to fresh up on my.
While you're freshening up, we're bringing them in pretty soon here in a couple minutes.
Whoa.
Actually, everybody. So
yeah,
let's listen in.
I had to check just to be clear, but yes, he is leading Disc Golf Pro Tour points. It would be pretty insane if he was not. He is leading by 100 and almost 30 points over Richard Wysocki, who's got a pretty big lead over Calvin Heimberg. So Buhr is well over 200 points over third place, which is pretty incredible. Burr's D-Glow, Disc Golf Pro Tour D-Glow, starts with the same 2 letters. So, but his DGLO history, people, maybe said that it wasn't his best event, or maybe he said he wasn't as good at this course, but finished 23rd in 2021, 12th in 2022, 10th in 2023, which for really any player in the world would be incredible track record at this course. But of course, for someone at the caliber of Ganon Buhr, that feels like not good enough. So here he is getting a win to turn around his stats at this course. It's his 10th major or Elite Series win of his career, which now makes double digits, of course. He's only the 9th player in MPO to have the double-digit number of wins in major Elite Series events. He passes Simon Lizotte, who's at 9. He's 1 behind Calvin Heimberg, who's at 11, 2 behind Doss at 12, and 3 behind Eagle McMahon at 13. The only players with more than that, are Barry Schultz, Dave Feldberg, Ken Climo, Richard Wysocki, and Paul McBeth. Paul's sitting at 54 wins, so he has 44 more wins to go to catch Paul. If he wins, 6 a season, it'll be well over 7 seasons to get that mark. But it is his 6th major Elite Series win of the season, and he's just the 3rd player ever to do that. 3rd different player ever to do that in MPO, with Barry Schultz doing it in the first ever year of the Elite Series in 2003. And then Paul McBeth has done it 5 times, most recently in 2019 with 9. That's insane. Wysocki has never done this. He has won 5 in a season 3 different times, including 2022. And then Ken Climo, of course, most of his peak of his career was prior to the Elite Series events. So less chances to get that number 6 on the year with limited number of events. But Ganon Buhr gets a huge win. I mean, if he wasn't already solidified as number 1 in the world, still is. But Josh, just feelings of Ganon Buhr.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to remember when we had that conversation on a prior episode around, like, would anybody break a certain number of wins? This was right about the threshold I feel like most of us were sitting at. And we can talk about it more later. My only question is, like, would you be surprised if there was another win out of the remaining 3 events, or 4 if you count the championship? So it's just like, it's crazy. Winning at 30% of the events you enter at this level's pretty nuts. So that's all.
And then he's in the green room. I can hear him. But Ben, before we hear from Ganon Buhr, your thoughts on Buhr, but also Hanley, because I didn't call on you for that either.
My thoughts on Ganon Buhr. I mean, what else do you expect? I picked him to win the D-Glow because I knew he had that motivation behind him to get all that for, and he's the greatest currently in the world. So no surprise there. Holland Hanley, honestly, it's starting to get to that point of no surprise too. I know there's been times last year when she struggled, and this year she's obviously shown out and won a lot more, and sometimes struggles to close out. But I think as the years go by, I think we're going to see Holland winning more and more, and it's going to be no problem at all. And we're all going to be like, yep, we saw this coming.
Cool.
That's it.
Ganon is driving down the road at 85 kilometers or whatever it is.
Not the hill.
50. I don't know. It's some different thing. I think he's out of country. He wins and runs for the hills. Let's see if we can get him in here. Hold on. Let's pull it up. All right. We'll go with this button. Well. Look who it is. Ganon Buhr. How are you doing?
Good. What's up? Can you hear me all right?
So I can hear you fine. We're a little delayed. The video's coming through patchy, but I hear you. You're good. So dude, you just swept the Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Plus. Besides not winning Worlds, ooh, that might have stung. I'm sorry, or stung, but like you're doing a performance season that's above. Where do you put this season compared to the rest of yours?
Considerably higher. Obviously, my most wins in the season before was last year at 3 wins, and last year I had 3 elites, and one of them was a 2-round elite series. So to have, I mean, I'm just winning tournaments that have more rounds this year. So I mean, I had a combined 8 rounds of winning last year, and then this year I have a combined uh, 23 rounds, I think, of winning. So it's just a lot more golf at the top, and being able to survive for more rounds is obviously it's difficult, and so to be able to do that, I think it is 5 of the 6 4-round tournaments this year already. The only one I didn't win was Champions Cup, so I feel pretty good if I have 4 rounds.
Yeah, what does that say about your play? I mean, consistency. If we went back to 8-round World Championships, maybe you come out a winner. There was 5 there. Consistency, the courses, everything comes into play. But what does that say for you? Like a 4-round event, is that your specialty, or is it the way it's just lining up at the right courses, all of it combined?
I said in my interview afterward, or after one of the rounds, but my game has just felt amazing at the Plus events this year. I don't know why. It just happens to be that way. My backhand felt really good for Deaglow, and I led the field, I believe, in strokes tee to green. So I was just giving myself a lot of birdie looks. That's like definitely been my most important stat this year so far, is leading all of the throwing stats. And so, yeah, I just have a lot of looks for birdie. If I miss them, it's fine, because I will get another one pretty soon. And I believe, my circle one putting is the best it's ever been, at over 90% this year. So I've never been over 90%. And so if I'm putting it inside circle one, I'm usually making the putt. And I think I was second in bogey percentage. So I'm just not bogeying that much either. And then that's just a recipe for getting wins.
A recipe for getting wins and making money. Now, they consider it earnings. I was thinking about that today. So your earnings, you probably have it. They wrote it down somewhere on public, how much you make. It's on the PDGA as well. I think it's like 125,000. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Does that just considered like career earnings or yearly earnings, or do you get taxed extra because it's like you winning something? Do you know? It's different?
I have no idea.
I know, like, if I get a bonus at work, they actually tax me way more. So I was just curious if they just count it as like, hey, no, this is your earnings. But anyways, $125,000, the most ever in a season at this point. The payouts are larger than they used to be, but you're winning in that season of largest payouts ever. So how does that feel?
It's a good time to be playing disc golf. Obviously, disc golf's growing a bunch, especially in the payouts. We've got to a point where this season, I think pretty much every elite series was about 10,000 if you won, and years past we were around 5,000 to 6,000. So, and that's when I was first joining the tour. So we've already almost doubled in payouts at the majority of our tournaments. We have more of these big paying tournaments like the Elite Pluses and playoff events. We didn't have those before, and so we're getting more rounds in. We're getting more viewership, especially online. It's disc golf's looking good, and like I said, good time to be playing good and winning, because the payouts are looking great, and the payouts are definitely top weighted, pretty heavy. So if you're looking to make a lot of money playing disc golf, winning is definitely the best way to do it. If you get third place every event, it doesn't even come close to adding up if you just win a couple events, because it's about three times more if you win versus like a third place or something.
Yeah. Do you see? You think about a fair amount of disc golf. It's your life. It's your career right now. Do you see winnings becoming equally important or more important than even like how much a sponsor pays you? Because if the payments keep increasing, the payouts, I guess you wouldn't have to make as much from a deal with a sponsor, right? I mean, like, I'm not asking for details, but if you make 150,000 this year, that's more than you were probably making at any point in your career when you first started, for sure. I'll leave it at that. And so, like, if you could say, hey, I could go out and win $150,000, would you still go look for a sponsor if you knew that?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure, for sure. We're not quite there yet. You know, I'm still like, that's the main thing. There's a lot that goes into like what choosing, your sponsor is or who your main manufacturer is, but a lot of time it does just come down to the money. And if that can tie in with the company really wanting to work with you and you like the company, then it's a bonus. That's kind of how my situation is right now. I'm loving where I'm at, and so I think I'm just playing free. I'm playing happy. There's no pressure to like fulfill my contract in terms of like playing up to the standard. It's just almost a relief, and so I can kind of just play free. I know they got my back no matter what. This man has been awesome, and it's just been such a just relaxed year. I can just focus on playing, and that's all that matters.
You're playing at an extremely high level of disc golf. I think most of the disc golf world has full confidence in the fact that you could win or will win any given event. Ricky's pretty close to that. Obviously, there's a lot of others at the top pool of players, but we are seeing younger talent. And that's funny because I'm talking to you, but we're still seeing more younger talent coming into the sport. And eventually you're going to see a few years out from now that they're coming. Is the sport going to continue to elevate? Are people going to be able to do things that they're not doing now, or is it just going to get more refined? Like, if we hit the we've plateaued with how good people can get.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we still have kind of hit that limit of like how good you can get. I mean, obviously when Paul hit like 1062 in like 2019 or whatever that was, that's just unbelievable. Um, but with the average rating of a touring pro, top touring pro, going down quite a bit. There used to be something called the 1050 club. That's not a thing anymore, really. I believe there's only maybe 2 players in that, but there was a time where there were not any 1050 rated players in the world, and so, and just recently, and so, what that means for people who don't really understand ratings that well is that there's just more people that are playing good, and so it makes those rounds that the top pros are shooting makes it not look as good versus when the pro tour was just starting. And when Paul hit his 1062 rating, it was prime because at that time you could pretty much sign up for any pro tour event you wanted and you could play. And so you'd have a lot of people that weren't that high rated that were kind of making the scoring spread bigger. But now I guess my point is just with people's rating being not as good, it's just proof that the field is getting so deep. Um, it's just so hard to finish in the top 5, top 10 consistently these days because if you're off at all at any time during the week, somebody else is going to jump you, and that's what makes it difficult.
Yeah, and then one other thought here, and we're going to talk about it a little later, but I'd take your input for sure, is I saw Eric Oakley make a post, and then Kyle Klein commented in agreement, but they missed the European style courses. Kind of like one of those like, hey, memories take me back. I really loved it. And I know your experience, we've talked to you. You absolutely loved the European courses as well. When you go to a course like Toboggan, that D-Glow, do you have those same feelings? Like, I don't really enjoy this as much? Or are you a different player and you feel like, no, these are fantastic. I love them.
Well, if you know me, I don't really love D-Glow that much. And I think it is because it's not for the same reason that kind of Eric was saying. I can't remember. I didn't really read his post.
It talked about a little bit of like punishing and double punishments and just kind of going the wrong direction, he felt like.
I think I might be in the opposite boat of, I think especially D-Glow in the middle section of the course needs to be more punishing, and that's why we're not seeing there's not much score separation out of D-Glow. I played some incredible disc golf, some of the best I've played all year, obviously. And my first round and my final round looked a lot like a lot of people's rounds, where if you don't score in the front 9, you get to the back 9 and you just pretty much par everything, and it's really annoying because someone can throw a much worse shot than you, or vice versa. and you get the same score because the hole is too far with no out of bounds. Now, my solution for that would be bring the hole shorter and add some OB. That way, it is fairly punishing instead of, you're allowed to just kind of shank everywhere and get away with it. If you can, I think it was Harper Thompson had a screenshot on Eric's post of the hole average and separation percentages from holes like 9 to 15, and almost every single hole had about 80% pars. So if you look at it this way, you're basically playing, a 13-hole round at that point. If you take 5 holes out because everyone's getting the same score, it almost doesn't even play as a whole. And so I think that's the frustrating part for myself. Now, the European courses were definitely, you could tell they were slightly more professional. The design is very well thought out. You're playing in a lot more mounds, a lot more hills, so you have to land your disc a lot softer into the greens and stuff. The OB is thought out. The par 4s and par 5s aren't just bombs off the tee. You actually have to maybe throw a mid or a putter off the tee to get into placement. And then maybe the second shot's a driver. And so you could call it like a backwards par 5, backwards par 4, where you actually throw your short shot and your first shot. I think over in Europe they just take it much more professionally, and the courses are built up. All the tee pads are nice, and there's more just I don't even know what to call it, but there's just a lot more nice stuff at the courses over there, and I really enjoyed the way that they played because they weren't just all bomber courses. I'm looking forward to going next year. I'm not really happy about the back-to-back majors over there, but I'm happy that there are more Pro Tour events over there. I'll be going over, I think, for 5 of them. So, yeah, I can't wait.
We didn't have you on, maybe for obvious reasons. We could always have you on. You're a fantastic interview, but with the World Championships, not looking for you to like deep dive here, but you just talked about how some of the courses played. Did you feel like, just maybe in a general sense, the New London, Ivy Hills was like a good balance for Worlds? Do you think, generally speaking, it was a good course setup?
Yeah, I think so. I think New London was in my top 10 courses I've ever played, and Ivy grew on me as the week went on. I think Ivy had a very similar problem in Iglo, where there's a couple holes, maybe 3 holes, that there wasn't a ton of score separation, very hard birdies, which I didn't love. I didn't love how Ivy had like 3 island holes. I'm not a huge fan of that either. I think that it gives too many big stroke swings where you get punished for just missing a short little dinky hole, and then you have to make it up throughout the rest of the round. You could play so much better than somebody, and then you just barely are off on a couple of the island holes, and they might end with a better score overall in the round because they threw a couple better shots than you. Maybe 3 better shots out of the 50 shots you threw the whole round. So, I like courses that are, I like 2-stroke swing holes as long as it's not super tight, because disc golf is still at a point where we're not that good to where we can consistently do stuff like that over and over and over again. I'm all for a challenging hole, but I don't want it to be a couple of the holes at Ivy just felt like they were filler holes. But I love the dynamic, the open and wooded course mix. That's what you have to have at a major, especially World Championships. I know Pro Tour Finals is going to be probably at Ivy next year, and I'm curious to see what they do with the New London when I heard that they have to take out a couple of the holes. So, but yeah, overall, just a great course duo.
We're starting to see that at the bigger events, a balanced approach to open and wooded. I think, again, your perspective is more valuable here, but I think it's probably a decent approach, especially if it's a 4-round event. We're heading to Smuggler's Notch now. Where do you doing this off week? Is it an off week for you, or are you playing somewhere?
So me and the crew, Alden, Gavin, Isaac, Ezra, are headed to Port Hope, Canada, to play I believe it's called the Innova Rip. It's just a DGPT Q Series event, and it's perfectly on the way to Vermont. So we thought we'd stop by, we got invited to play, and it looked awesome. So we decided we were just going to go ahead and play. Always cool to kind of be in a new country. I'll say, Canada, it's been a little weird. Not sure how much I love it yet, but maybe it'll get
Yet.
better.
Yet. Let me throw it over to my brother Josh real quick. I think he's got something. We'll let you go here in just a minute.
Yeah, you're making me laugh saying you don't know if you like Canada yet. I'm like, have you just been sitting in a car? Like, I don't.
I mean, we went out and played a course, and it was not great. It was pretty bad. I think one of the better ranked courses in the country, and it was it was just kind of weird. Maybe I'm just not used to that kind of disc golf, but very interesting.
Well, they do have some nice courses, so hopefully you arrive at one. So, first of all, wanted to say, you talked about this a little bit in the post-round interview. Player of the year, something you said has been important to you, kind of a goal you want to get. With 6 wins, in the post-round interview, you were kind of talking about, hey, it's not really locked up, which I guess is true if somebody were to go and win out from here. But, like how are you keeping your mindset to kind of keep driving? Like, what's really your goals at this point besides just trying to win? Like, I mean, you've got a major left, you've got playoff events. Like, just where's your mindset at? You're just going to try to win the rest of the 3? Just where are you at mentally? Goals this year.
It's obviously unlikely, but I think if I win the rest of the 3, I'm definitely in conversation for the best season ever. That would be just a huge accomplishment for me. I think I need to win at least 2, and one of them has to be the major at USDGC to, I think, be in consideration. I think the one thing I'm missing from my resume, and the one thing I haven't checked off, obviously, is winning the World Championships, and it just kind of felt unfortunate for me. My game just, I worked very hard the whole week, played a lot of practice rounds. My game just didn't fix up. I worked on so many things and just didn't feel good for the tournament. I had to work on different forms during the tournament, and my gap hitting was not good, and so I pretty much lost it when we had to play New London. And then obviously I got it back at Deagla. I think if I was playing the way my game felt here at Deagla, I would have won Worlds. And so it's just unfortunate that my game picked a bad week to play bad. But yeah, I think Worlds is like one of the last things I need to check off my box. If I am able to get the Player of the Year, win Pro Tour points, have one of the best seasons ever, I think that's definitely, that's all stuff I've dreamed of and I'm accomplishing before my eyes. So, but yeah, I mean, the drive is to just, I want to be dominant. I want to be, like, for sure the best in the world. That's always been my goal. And to have that consistency of, being there every single weekend, that's what I care about. And then, I think I will win that World Championship one day. I don't know when it will be, but, I have to, like, not let it linger over me, because if I do that, I think it could probably affect me a little bit. But I have to just be happy with what I've done so far. And, just keep pushing them, make it obvious that I'm the best, and hopefully I can continue playing well. That way people can believe that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing on that. That's what I'm curious. A great perspective. Do you know what event happened exactly 1 year ago today? Literally September 9th, 2023.
Worlds?
Matt Graham's Backyard Barbecue.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's another tournament you haven't won. So put that on the list.
Wait, was that actually the answer? I thought you were going to say Maple Hill.
Bagger Colradala.
Oh, yeah, Bagger Cole.
I know. I don't know when there'll be a rerun, but it'll happen at some point in the future.
There will be, not this year. You'll see the potential, Gannon. We'll set it up for next year.
All right. Well, anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for sharing.
Awesome. Ben, any, tips for Gannon on how he can do better?
Yeah. Lead with the elbow. Make sure the disc is pull through on Anheuser. That's important. And on up shots, just don't extend your arm fully, I guess.
Does that sound like it might work, Gannon?
Thank you.
I think I'm literally giving advice Gannon gives. I was just giving it back to him.
Wonderful. Well, excited to have you coming back up to the Northeast, and you are playing fantastic, and there's not much more we can ask. Well, we could talk forever, but we're going to let you go enjoy Canada because you have this weird take on it after a bad course. So we'll let you enjoy it. Drive in kilometers, not miles per hour. I think that's how it works. And Safe travels, man. We'll see you around.
Later.
All right, thank you.
Gannon,
out.
two more weeks till churros. Oh, and he left.
All right, I'm trying to get this all swapped up. Boom. I don't know where Evan is now, but we're here still talking. And Nick, we didn't even talk about Nick. We didn't say like Nick's not here or anything like that because we don't know where Nick is. No, that's not quite true either.
He's playing good in Survivor. Oh wait, that was like 2016. Never mind.
Okay, now the crew's back besides Nick still. So that was fun to talk to Ganon. And for what it's worth, him driving down the road in a different country, that was probably the best connection we've had in that scenario. So that worked out well.
Yeah, I mean, so Canada, like knocking on Canada, but he's had great cell service. So.
In all seriousness, I ask dumb questions a lot of times, and so I want to feel out you guys here. How dumb of a question was that to say, hey, you might make $150,000 this year? If you had known that, like going into a year, or you'd say, hey, I'm going to do that maybe every year or like over 100 every year. Like, I guess you still want a sponsorship, right? And he was like, oh yeah, we're not there yet. And I'm thinking the average salary, now I know we're not talking average salaries, but the average salary in the US is like $65,000, somewhere in there. Not to make people feel bad or good, but if I said $150,000 was guaranteed, now I know that's hypothetical too, but like, do you guys see what I'm talking about? I feel like there's an opportunity. If you knew you were going to be making lots of money, you don't need to worry as much about your sponsorship deal.
Yeah, but you can go make double with a sponsorship.
Way more, yeah.
That's the thing.
Like, that's the thing. You just make way more. And throwing discs. That's you don't even really
He said he wasn't, he said he didn't feel pressure, which is nice.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you have go ahead, Ben, I'll let you go.
I was going to say, Gannon's at a point where he doesn't have to post a single social media post saying check out Discmania, and they'd still be happy with him because he's just winning. So like they're just giving him money, and he's just gonna keep throwing their discs, and it's like the easiest thing ever because as long as he keeps winning, they'll be happy. So I think that's why. But I do understand what you're saying, but I think the way to think about it more is if he knew he was going to get $150,000, would he have leveraged it and got a different deal or a better deal? Obviously, I don't know again his deal. I'm just saying, like, maybe that's a way to think of it. Would he have asked and like, I'm going to win 150 grand this year?
I might be more old school in the sense that I remember talking this conversation even 4 seasons ago, being like, will there be a day where we have an open bag thrower who's just earning a living on tour because of the payouts? But I guess what I'm hearing from you guys and even Ganon here is like, well, why would you do that? But I always thought there was something awesome about being an open bag. And if you could earn $150,000, most people would take that.
Well, I mean, if you're talking, would it be, if you're talking, would it be like kind of like epic just to be like walking out on the course, no sponsorship, and just like winning events like Ganon is? I mean, that would be like cool. Yeah. But then literally you'd be like, why are you not taking in another $100,000 or $200,000? Mm-hmm. And Matt, if you have a bad relationship with a sponsor, that's like a different deal, right? Maybe you bail on that because that's not worth the money, right? Like everybody makes that kind of decision at some point, right? You work for somebody, and if it's bad, you leave. But if it's any kind of mediocre to healthy relationship and you're going to leave, I mean, like even Isaac Robinson, who has like near $70,000 this year, but he like winning worlds, he's probably doubled up his winnings just because it's in the contract, right?
True.
With the
bonuses,
sponsor.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
Although I don't know what Prodigy's bonus structure is, but
Isaac basically said he probably doubled up the winnings from worlds with his contract.
Pretty much any touring player is in their contract. If you win worlds, you're gonna make, even if it like the lowest, you're gonna make a great amount of money.
So whatever the payout was, I'm rounding numbers, not looking at it. If Isaac got 35 at worlds, he may have gotten another 35 from Prodigy.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
I would be very surprised.
I think that's the case.
I know inside
he mentioned it in an interview.
Out, and some people can say that Innova maybe doesn't pay out the same as other places, but from what I know about Prodigy, and I'm not trying to bash on them, they don't pay out big anywhere.
Isaac said it in an interview.
Are you saying
35,000. He
Innova for
doubled
like
his
if
world's
Hunter
inning.
wins, or like
he
if
wouldn't
Calvin
say the
Heiberg
exact
wins?
cash, but the
Wow.
way he worded it, I'm comfortable enough to say it was close to matching his
Wow.
payout.
Anyways, I guess the funny
wouldn't
part
be
about this whole question that I asked was like, my mind, I'm going 150,000 a year would be pretty good. The different mindset, and thank you everybody for pointing this out to me because I was in a different zone. You're an athlete. You're trying to make as much as you can while you can off of your talents.
Now,
So
I understand what you're asking, but then of course, in a comical way, it's like, would you rather 150,000 or 300,000?
Evan, how
That's
about
why
you?
people are laughing about
Would
it.
you
Yeah, Evan,
rather-
which would you rather? Hey, I like how too you ask him about like taxes. So Matt, if we're gonna grade all your questions, Gannon has no idea.
He
But
looks
also,
so
here's the thing.
I
surprised, yeah.
love
listen,
the tax question.
But
I
yeah,
loved
of course
it.
it's interesting.
Yeah, because
but
like I get what you're saying. Like if you win the lottery, it's like different.
Yeah.
Like you get it's like 40% they take away or something.
I'm
like that,
guessing
you
they
know?
don't do it as winnings. I'm guessing they do
no,
it
but
as
he doesn't
career
have any
earnings.
withholdings up front. It's a totally different ball game, Matt.
That's
Yours
earning.
is withholdings up front because the way you're being paid on a W-2. He does not have withholdings. They send him the full
Yeah, they
amount.
send them the full
and then
amount.
he has to handle the taxes, so it's really different.
It's up to him to report. So Gannon, if you're listening to this, do not
Someone's
evade the
doing that for
IRS.
Hey,
We've
the
turned
other-
this
I-
into the tax hour with Matt and Josh.
we have it. We know a
Staggered
tax lawyer, right? Anyway, last thing. This just kind of this is really not funny. Is that the word I'm looking for? I love this. Gannon's still fairly young, and honestly, another question I was gonna ask him, and I'm just gonna toss it out as a kind of conversation point is. I don't really know any of his details, but in reality, he's riding with friends. He's staying at booked Airbnbs. They're sharing meals. And he talked about playing really relaxed. And I'm like, and he's focused on disc golf. And I'm like, yeah, you're not thinking about most of your travel arrangements. You're literally not driving. You don't own a home. We don't know of any extended relationships that are like pulling on his time. I'm like, man, like, no wonder. And again, I'm not actually just saying that's like he's lucky, like that's where he's at and he still has a drive. But things like taxes, he's like,
He
look,
has a drive, but he
just
doesn't
keep-
have to drive.
yeah, just keep paying me. Like his income to expense ratio, we don't really know what Gannon's doing with it, so we're not trying to scrutinize that, but it's probably pretty solid. Which is great for a young guy on the road winning. He talked about it's a good time to be in the
He's
sport.
be a millionaire.
Dude's a
within-
generous guy. I'll say that. I know that.
Yeah,
without
yeah.
getting into details, his family, I just know he's a great dude there. And so
It's awesome to
at
see his
this
mom
age,
on the
he
bag.
doesn't have much to pay for. Yeah, exactly. So anyways, congratulations to him and his solid season. Yeah, some of those questions were funky. And frankly, we talked to Gannon about
honestly, we talked to
everything.
Gannon so much. I have
Yeah.
so many questions I want to
Yes.
ask him.
I just
We
realized
gotta-
I started.
We gotta sit him down. Next, we have
Sit
to have
him
an
down.
interview with him and have like an adult podcast. Like Gannon, are you opening up a Roth IRA? You got to retire, buddy. Are you putting money away in case you tear an ACL? We gotta have an adult talk to. No, I'm sure he's had that talk before, but it is funny seeing
I
an
think he's surrounded
18-year-old
by some
just
good
like
people, which is good.
make oodles of this money and then still acting and living like an 18-year-old. Like it's just like
Very
incredible.
cool. All right. In transition, let's talk about how we performed for Pop Drop Lock this last week. And we made our picks while we didn't record a show, we still made our picks. And I will say, as a result of my picks, 3 players, or 4, I don't remember exactly, didn't even end up finishing the tournament. So I had 2 people make points. 2 picks. And
I know.
that's how it went. So let's see here. We're going to do, first up is from the worst to first. We'll do it that way. We're starting with Evan.
Wah,
Bum, bum.
Oh no, I didn't look,
You
and I
didn't
was.
check.
I didn't check. No, I didn't have high hopes, but I was hoping for not last. That's been my goal all season, is not last, and here I am in last like half the time.
So 16 points for you.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to go over our picks or not. I know I did Eagle to Pop and Lock, which I think you finished solid.
Yeah, you earned 20 points on that.
Yeah,
And you
eight.
picked Kristen.
Let's go. And yeah, I mean, I've
wasted
saved
a
up all
Kristen.
my Kristen picks, and then she just goes on this cold
It's
streak
true.
without
That's right.
winning.
You can
for
pick her one more
events,
time.
so-
Do you remember that whole debate where you're like, wrong strategy, Josh? And I picked her in the beginning.
I certainly do.
I don't think
Um,
I got a lot of points either, though, to be honest. I think I
All
picked
right,
all the
next
wrong
up.
weeks.
Josh, 20 points.
All right, yeah, I know. Wah, wah.
Um,
Hey, I picked Ganon Buhr to win, so I'll just set that, leave that there.
Nice. All right. And then third on the list, if I'm not mistaken, is Ben.
Nicola.
That's right.
No, it's
35
Nick.
points.
Oh, maybe it is me.
It is Ben.
Yeah. Yeah. I picked Evelina Salonen to lock. Unfortunately, she did not come close to winning. She wasn't even there. So there you go.
Oops.
You picked Madison Walker once again.
Of course.
You got 6
Every
points from her, but
time.
you also picked Ganon to win, and he did. So good
Yes.
job there.
At the end of the season, I think I have the most winners picked. I feel like
We'll have
just
to see.
personally,
I'll be able to check
that's how I
that.
feel.
I'll
Yeah.
check that.
We'll
in a
look at
while
some
here.
Picked a
stats.
lot of winners. I think like every event almost.
All right. You've picked every event.
I don't know. Like I got James Proctor. Like
I did
that's what
too.
I'm saying. I know, but I'm just saying like these. I pull out these like out of left field. Like I think
What's
I have
your
all
strat, Ben?
rookies
What's
too.
your strat? Okay, here we go. Next
I
up,
don't know.
Nick. 37 points. 2 more than you.
Yes.
What did Nick do? He picked Anakin to lock. Pretty good. She really did. And Adam Hammis to pop. Those were his 2 standouts. Adam Hammis did perform well. 22
Nice.
places above his average.
And really quick, Ben, you've picked 10 correct locks
Ooh.
this year.
Ooh.
I feel like
You
that's
figured that out pretty
incredible.
quick, Josh. The new staggered stat man, though.
I know.
I mean,
he's the
Yeah,
pop.
Graham Mando.
Great.
If people would just give me access to the
Stat
numbers.
What are you trying to say there, Josh?
People just
I
give
don't
me
know.
access. That's hilarious. That's so funny.
And then I pulled out a win this week. Not much, just a couple over Ben and Nick, but 42 points.
No pictures on
With
the
3
Staggered
people
Stance
dropping-
scorecard.
Is actually insane.
Yeah, I had 1, 2, 3, 4 people that got 0. 4 people. Paul Ulibarri, 0, because he didn't play, and I should have thought that through, but he was registered still the night
He had a
before.
lot
Kyle Klein
more girls.
was not a lock. Thought he was maybe after the first round, but no. Paige Pierce dropped out DNF. Lisa Fakis dropped out DNF. So I picked Holland Hanley to win. I'm pretty happy too, Ben. I picked Evelina to win Worlds. She did. I picked Holland Hanley to win the next event. She did.
Yeah, how many does Matt have? I gotta know that.
12.
Ooh.
Dang it. So he
Ben.
has more.
What's the strat? I didn't even know that. I knew I picked pretty well. And then Simon to pop. And he did. I
Nice.
should have doubled up on Simon. But
Yeah, the pop lock combo.
yeah.
Josh, I want to know the rest of the picks because I think my number's pretty low for locks. Correct. I think.
Oh, okay. Well, I already filtered and ran around, but I just looked. It was 6, I think, for you.
Hey, you know what? That's
Yeah.
not as bad as I thought.
That is good.
Oh, actually, no. Sorry. Nick was 6. Wah,
I'm
wah,
at
wah.
I'm at like 4.
No, you're better. You're like 8 and I have 9 or something.
Oh, say what now?
Oh, it got better.
All right. Well, when Nick gets on here at some point tonight, I'll
Yeah,
have
Nick has the lowest. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, might not be winning on the season, but I got one thing.
Yeah, so points total. Ben's still in the lead. Matt, you're 143 behind him. I'm 122, and then it tails off. So there's
I'm
still
gonna go
some room
back
with
to
three
that.
with 3 events left, right? 3 picks left, so things could happen.
I got to really pop off, but I still go back to that lucky pick or that lucky week. Ben leaves. Goodbye. He disappears out of the place, the face of the earth. Thinks he puts his picks in, but he doesn't. So he keeps his other picks, and somehow they give him astronomical points. Where had he
Isaac
actually put his
Flynn.
real picks in that he picked, I would have been like within striking distance, 20 points. That's
Yes.
okay.
In
That's how the game
future
goes.
years, do
Rules
we
are
like
rules.
weight the events like the Pro Tour, like playoff events are worth more and that kind of stuff? No.
I have some ideas.
Okay.
We're
Well, we
bouncing
can figure
around
that out.
some.
So- Yeah, let me
But
say
yeah, I
this. Let
I
me
think
say
there-
this
I
because
think
you have
there's
ideas.
ideas.
And there are ideas. Feel free, everybody, to submit your ideas, however you want to do that. Your ideas, I'll jot them down into my notepad. We're talking to Dave Schreck, our guy who builds this out. This is
Thank you,
literally like pro bono. Like he's working to make this a part of disc golf. We're paying him what we can. And I will
It's like
tell
Tim
you.
Wexler.
Stickers and discs.
Yes. Actually, wait till you hear this story. He sent me a text message this morning. He said, Matt, there's an interesting situation. For the first time ever, we have a tie. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I was like, we have it in our rules. Literally, if you click on the rules, I'm going to scroll down here because I think this is important that we talk about this because other people might want to know why this happened. How are tiebreakers? Number 7 in the rules list. How are tiebreakers handled if you have the same total points? In the event of a tie after the tournament concludes, tiebreakers will be determined based on the timing of submission of a player selection. Participants who submitted their picks first will be ranked higher in the event of a tie. Okay, so that's one way. So he double checked who submitted first. And then if you look at
They submitted at the same time.
It's under the game rules section.
yes.
Last line under game rules.
Let me double check here. There's one other rule that needs to be looked into. Okay, number 3. Are there any restrictions on which players I can choose for each category? Participants cannot select the same player as their lock pick more than 5 times in a given season in the rules. So he double checked a few things and he found out that both of these people who just tied with 79 points this week both did more picks than 5 on a single player for their lock. So they overpicked. So this is getting confusing, right? So then we go down to third place, and third place outright did everything correctly. They're 3 points behind, but they did everything right. We're going to give them the actual official win per the rules. But here's the fun part. Dave Schreck, what a dude he is. He goes, it's my fault that those guys don't get a prize now. He goes, my IT build out for this allowed them to pick more than 5 times in a lock. I feel like that's my fault. He's sending them a disc from his own personal stash.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he reached out to him. He's like, hey, you guys, it's my fault. Here's a disc. And so Hulu.
That's a gift. That's like the best gift. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, he's never done that before. So that's a special collectible. And shout out to Calm Finch 9269. We sent you an email with the instructions for how to receive your Hooligan prize. Thanks to Hooligan Disc for supporting the segment this year.
The best.
All right. We are concluding that segment, and we are going to have Evan Smith on in about 15 minutes or so. But until then, I know we have topics lined up. Josh, Evan, Ben, what do you want to move to?
I had a few things just about down the leaderboard. I know Josh had a few things as well, so we can figure out.
I'm fine. You can talk down the leaderboard.
Hold on. You just sparked my memory, Evan. I was at a tournament this past weekend where a 14-year-old took down AM1, averaging like 1,020 rated. And
nasty.
You can literally look at his stats in PDGA Live. I'm assuming you know this, but it's pretty cool to see. He found it out. I'm not sure how he knew, but he tracked it through, and other players on the card were like, what are you doing? And it's obviously brand new. What is this that we can now do with PDGA Live scoring?
Yeah. So what you've been seeing with the pro majors and elite series events all season is the throw stats, as in a volunteer is, following the group and entering in,
right.
Yeah. First shot landing into the fairway, second shots, 25 feet from the basket in circle 1. And then they make their putt with a 25-foot putt. So all that cool stuff. And then, you get your fairway percentage, your circle 1 in regulation, your C1X putting percentage, your strokes gained tee to green. That is now, as of last weekend, available for 8 tiers in the US. And now this coming weekend will be all PDGA 8 tiers have the ability to do that as long as, digital scoring and whatnot is set up.
At 8 tiers.
But at 8 tiers, yes. So if you're playing an A tier, look for it. If you're playing a B or C, we'll see where we get. We're rolling it out. We're 8 tiers at this point. And if you're going through the app, I mean, there's instructions on how to do it that you can find at pdga.com. But the general gist is when you're doing the live scoring, you can then when you start and you select the specific mode
before the round starts, right? Like it says like what hole, all that kind of stuff. It's in that.
Yeah,
section.
I mean, you can get to it during the round too,
okay.
But the easiest is when you're starting out. You can go in there and then select what you want to do. So
and a chat guy,
you can go in and out as 3 round. If you start with it and you're like, well, this is way too much to track, I'm off my game, you can turn it off and just do the hole by hole scoring that you're
good.
Required to do by the rules to
right.
record your score.
Someone in the chat, Nate Rossi, I'm assuming how you say the last name, or if it's a last name. Any word on favorites being added? Well, he's late to the game a little bit here. That was a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it was right before Worlds, and and this is another really cool thing about the favorites feature, hyping up all these cool things is yeah, you can go and favorite Simon Lazard or Kristen Tatar, but I can go in and I can favorite Ben Kenny. So whenever I go to an event that Ben's playing in, Ben will jump to the top of the leaderboard when I'm in his division, which that's really cool. I think it's really cool. I hope other people think it's
On
cool
screen
too, but
favorited too.
yeah, look at that. So, I can select, Ben Kenny, Matt Graham. You can just go into any event that they're playing and then boom, set them as your favorite.
I don't think you're going to get Evan to do it, Ben.
Wait.
Oh, it's reversed slowly. It's mirrored. Oh, there's
So
favorite.
Wait.
Oh,
That's the thumbnail.
Nice. Lots of cool things. And with the throw stats, especially with Finn Eder, man, I was rooting for him. Goes in the whole tournament, only missed one C1X putt all week and goes 31 for 32 and 97%. And you know what the wild thing is too, as I'm talking kind of sideways here, I hope I'm coming in. Ganon Buhr won the Discraft Great Lakes Open by only missing one C1X putt all weekend. He was 36 for 37, also at 90%, same percentage, rounded. That's very cool. Finn Eder playing 3 rounds at Maple Hill. I think they did, what was it, Ben? Blue Diamonds?
Yeah, so I played on his round, the first card, and
He beat you by 20 strokes?
No, 33 in the event.
No,
in the event. Yeah,
I wasn't going to that. I was going to talk
okay.
one round.
But also he beat everyone by...
Literally, just to be clear, that is not a knock on Ben. It's literally like, this kid's good, right?
He
beat second place by 16. So
I will
14.
say his dad, Glenn, love the guy, but I don't know. He might have I saw him lean over to Finn like, was that circle one? No, we'll go that circle too since you missed. No, I'm just kidding. That didn't happen.
Manipulating the stats. Come on, man.
Okay,
I'm just kidding.
Here's the thing with it too:
Glenn,
is your score. I know you're going to say some things. I'm cutting you off, Ben. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Your score is your score, and I mean you should record the correct thing. But if you are going to be one of those people that mess with what your stats are, if you're helping out one stat, you're hurting a different stat. And so I mean it depends on the situation. But if you're like, oh, I missed it. Let me be that circle 2. One, your circle 2 percentage is worse, but then also if it was for birdie, your C1 and regulation percentage is lower, and your C2 is the only thing that counts.
I'm laughing. So. Gage Benson, course manager, Maple Hill, chimes in. Time to turn Ben Kenny into a champ.
Yo, he's I'm Rocky. He's Apollo.
Cut out
I'm the Ninja Turtles. He's Master Splinter. He's gonna mold me into a great disc golfer. First, it starts off at putting at 4 a.m. tomorrow in the streets of Worcester.
Okay.
Yep.
By the way,
oh, wait,
Josh...
sorry, I have to mention one thing. That was a joke. I can confirm that Finn hit all his putts. He was disgusting. I was just. I would just have a good relationship with
Had
Glenn.
to make yourself feel better. No, I know.
No, I just wanted to let people know, like, Finn was legit, 100%. That was just a joke.
Gage Benson, we're giving him a second right now. I've been seeing he's been running a lot, Josh. He's putting down 5Ks. I think he's 10Ks. He's training for a half marathon.
He might be running faster than you, Josh. He just hit a 20-minute 5K.
All right. My personal best is faster than that, but maybe not right now. And Ben, I talked to you about starting up a ultra running podcast last week. So I don't think it's going to happen, but I'll talk running.
I'll hook you up with my boy Adam Kimball. Maybe I can produce it and you guys can talk about it.
All right. Yeah, we're going off the rails, but this is pretty I will gladly talk about running. Adam Kimball is a professional
ultra marathon runner that I met recently, and he lives in Lake Tahoe, and he has a world record for fastest time running across the United Kingdom, and he has another world record on like some trail, like the Tahoe Rim Trail or something like that. I think it's
a long distance either way.
Yeah, I don't know, but he has
certainly it's longer than I can run. Just one's a little shorter than the other, though.
So maybe I'll set that up since you're an ultra marathoner, Adam. This is my plea.
Well, anyway, I know this is a disc golf show, but sorry, everybody, we have other interests besides disc golf, and for me, it's running.
When you start a race, although more of like a sprinting track race, your stance, that would be a staggered stance.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, and there's all different types of running. Shout out to Gage again. I see his journey here in running, and I tried to do that this year as well. Made a half marathon and kind of overworked myself, injured myself, and so Josh and I talk about that too. So maybe we should start a whole new podcast off.
I mean,
side.
we could like we could mix
once a
the
month.
two on Maple Hill and just see who could like run
and
the
play.
course, run and
Speed
play the
run.
longest.
All right. No,
No, not speed, just
There's
like
a new
endurance.
thing called speed
Like,
golf. I'm pretty sure there's like a new sport.
That's not new, right?
I don't
Like
think
that's
it's
always like maybe officially in a like a
No, like it's
organization
events,
capacity.
like it's a professionally like events, like it's speed golf where you carry like a few clubs and you run as fast as you can, and it's like the time finish all but your strokes as well.
okay.
Not like PGA Tour.
That's
yeah,
cool.
I'm following.
That's cool, and we should talk a lot more about all these things. I hope people enjoyed enough.
oh, people definitely love this.
What's
stuff.
another topic in disc golf before we get into Evan Smith here in about 7 minutes?
Well, I mean, so this Evan, did you want to run down the leaderboard just a bit?
Yeah.
Did you have anything else?
Get back to
I
it.
want to touch a few like must hits, like definitely have to talk about from D-Glow that are interesting. I mean, there's some of the non-stat score based ones that we should definitely get to, but obviously I'll focus on kind of the number stuff. And the first one I want to mention is Owen Scoggins and her history at D-Glow. She won this event last year without birdieing a single par 3 all tournament. And then in 2022, her first year ever playing D-Glow, she also didn't birdie a single par 3 on the entire weekend. Her win in 2023 at D-Glow is the only major or elite series event in FPO in the last 4 seasons with this hole by hole record that somebody in FPO has won without birdieing a single par 3. So it's an incredible feat, and it speaks to Owen's game that she can win while playing a certain play style, which,
Right.
really taking advantage of the par 4s and then just almost staying alive on the par 3s. And a lot can be, course setup and whatnot too. But that's super interesting. And it looked like Owen was going to repeat that. She was leading after round 1, or at least at the top of the leaderboard throughout. But in round 4 of this tournament, round 1, 2, and 3, she didn't birdie a single par 3. But in round 4, hole 11, she gets the birdie on a par 3, was one of only 2 birdies. Her and Danny Clyden both birdied it. And then guess what happens on hole 16, a par 3 as well, which this one's a tough one. Just like hole 11, it's a tough one. She birdies it. Only birdie along with Holland Hanley. So the 2 only birdies. So that's incredible. Not to make it more of a story than maybe it needs to be, but I think it's a neat fact that Owen won without getting a single birdie on a par 3 last year, and then it almost happened this year as well. But she got it, so that's cool. Next one I want to hit is this one's a little bit more of a hypothetical discussion for all y'all too. Is Kristen Tatar? Her
My favorite topic.
Her expectations are high. But she finishes in 3rd place here. She has now gone 4 straight PDGA events, which includes a 2nd place at the CCR Open last week, losing to Owen Scoggins. But 4 straight PDGA events without a win, which ties her longest streak without a win at all PDGA events since 2022. And then that's the longest she's ever had in the 2020s. You have to go to 2019 where she had 5 straight PDGA events without a win. So, she's also going into Green Mountain Championship where she's the reigning winner from 2022. And then Worlds was there last year where she was the reigning winner from that Worlds. Of course, we just had Worlds, so not the reigning Worlds winner. But so it's a course that she has played well, has won at before. So I'm setting the table as not
I'm picking her
not
to
too
win.
crazy, but I do want to hear thoughts on Kristen Tatar's record and how you feel like she's doing. And Josh, I can feel you wanting to jump at this. So
I want to hear if others have any thoughts on this. I know we only have a few minutes here. So first of all, just like the eye test and what we've seen, I think it's a legitimate question. So like it's a real talking point. So I'm totally fine with that, right? It's kind of like, this doesn't feel like Kristen that we know, like what's off, like is there a concern? So like, I think we've seen enough to say that's legitimate, but then I'm going to say, but she has the most wins on tour this year of anyone else. Now I'm not saying that's player of the year because majors, all that stuff, but she has the most wins on tour. And Evan, her win rate, not podium rate or anything like that. Her win rate is like 42% rounded. Like,
yeah, certainly it's insane.
So, I mean, that is just like insane, which means we are benchmarking her to herself from a prior year, which was maybe one of the great years like ever, right? Especially if you can classify a modern era. So because she set the standard so high, that's why I feel like it's legitimate. It's like, this doesn't look like the Kristen we saw. And you always wonder, is this a new trend? Or is there a concern? Is she changing? But like in reality, you look at that and you're like, oh, like that's kind of absurd. If anyone else came out and like did that for their first time, if they didn't have a benchmark, right? Like if Holland Handley had 5 wins this year and 41% win rate, you would say it's like unbelievable. So anyway, I think Kristen is still just fine. I do think it is something to watch though, because it is a legitimate question to say, she's just not quite where she was. Is it in the average stats? Is it going to end up just saying, oh, this is just like that valley, right? All averages have the valley and the peaks. Or is it a new like level? Or has the competition risen around her with people like Holland and Evelina kind of pushing through? But I don't know. That's my reaction.
Yeah. Good level-headed take. Ben or Matt, any spicy takes to add on?
So spicy. I wish does the fire emoji work here? It does work. I like to fire people up, but actually it's going to be fairly level-headed. Going into this season, it's not a hard pick to say she's not going to do as many wins or play as well as she did in the previous season. It's like, we even talked about it. I think it was off season last year. We said she performed at such a high level. Is it even possible to keep up with it? And I think the easy answer that I stuck with was no. Now, the people are going to root for her the same way. She is arguably, maybe unarguably, the best FBO player. According to the stats Josh shared, according to the recent track record of last year and what she's doing this year. But I'm going to bring up another name here, and it's a comparison to the greatest potentially of all time, Paul Macbeth. It's not that hard to pick that he wasn't going to perform like 2015 ever again, right? He performed well, but eventually you can't keep up with it. You're just going to be known as the greatest of all time. That's a potential here for her as she goes into next season. She performs at this high level. If she gets another Worlds win, those kinds of things, but she's not going to have that same exact dominant. I don't think it will happen when you see players like Holland and others performing well, but that's not to take away from Kristen. I want to be very clear. I've never tried to do that. I think it's just, we have to be more level-headed with, she's not going to win everything. Her ceiling is not as high as some of these other players are now, but they're not capitalizing on their ceiling either. So you got to look at it all in one big, like, I guess, objective picture here and just say that she's a fantastic player. Her record shows it. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Ben, unless you have something dying to say, I'll bring it to you on the next subject.
Next subject.
Isaac Robinson gets a tied for second finish here. Made it kind of close. I mean, Ganon won pretty handedly, but great effort. And his track record, last 5 events at Major Elite Series events, have been 4th at European Open, 6th at Ledgestone, 4th at LWS, wins PDGA Pro Worlds, and now 2nd at D-Glow. What do you think of Isaac Robinson getting hot at the right time? But just general thoughts on how he's playing lately.
So I think this is a recurring theme. I think earlier this year we were talking about how Isaac, what's happening with the world champion? He's slow. Like, did he peak? But then we also looked back to 2023 and it was the same thing. He started off very slow, and then towards the end he won a world championship. And it's pretty much, I don't want to say identical, but it seems like, the world championship was at the end of the year, and now he's doing incredible things. So I think it's just, he's one of the best in the game, top 5 in the world, I'd say, even top 3. I mean, I think that's an argument that could be made, but I know for sure at least top 5, and I think his game is just meant for the later half of the season, and it's a good thing. Other than Champions Cup, which he did win, but that was sort of like early to mid season.
Yeah.
Since Ledgestone, real quick, that's when he's really turned this around, to your point, Ben. And I think the point you made about him having a near identical type season, maybe minus, winning another major or two, he's literally averaging almost exactly what he did last year, which I wasn't thinking that was going to happen again this year. So good point there.
Yeah, last year he had a solid run between Music City Open finishing 9th, 1st at Champions Cup, 2nd at Jonesboro, 3rd at OTB Open, and then 4th at Portland Open. He started off slow at Vegas, Waco, Austin, got super hot, slowed down a little bit with some good finishes, and then got hot towards the end. And to compare last year to this year, you could argue that this year is better in this stretch. Last year he finished 12th at European Open. This year he finishes 4th. Last year 15th at Ledgestone. This year he finishes 6th. Last year he finishes 3rd at LWS Open, different acronym. And then this year he finishes 4th, one worse, but others are better. Wins Worlds, and then D-Glow last year was before Worlds. He finished 7th. This year he finishes 2nd. Now we're going into GMC, which he didn't play last year because it was Worlds instead, but he won it last year being Worlds. He finished 2nd at GMC the year before. 19th at MVP Open last year, 3rd at USDGC, and 4th at the Pro Tour Championship. So those are hard ones to follow. I mean, likely maybe better at MVP Open, but a 3rd at USDGC and 4th at Pro Tour Championship would be hard to follow up, but certainly doable. So we'll be very interesting to see how it shakes up. So, Matt, if we're ready to go with the other Evan.
No, I don't know where that came
know.
from. If he popped in or if that was Ben playing
That was
something on his
me.
phone.
That was
Okay.
me. That was me.
Oh. Okay.
No, that was me popping in on that link because he said, I don't think it's working. Just wanted to make sure it was working. It is working.
The world saw that it was. But
Did you send it to him through a DM and Instagram?
Yeah, I said copy and paste that link into Google Chrome.
For some reason, you click a link from Instagram and it doesn't work for us. It's super wild. Nothing changes except for where you click on it. So we'll see.
All right. Well, while Ben's figuring that out, before we get into Evan Smith, want to make the note. I mean, he finishes 4th place here. Let me run some, his career best. But the point I want to make, which we can think about, is he's sitting in 31st place in the Disc Golf Pro Tour World Standings, which means he has, as of now, an invite to the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. I mentioned earlier how we have 2 playoff events coming up, but that's it. It cuts off after that. USDGC does not count to the World Standings, and it will not affect the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship invites. So 2 more events, GMC, MVP, and we're done. But no drops. Whatever you get here is what you get. So it means a lot. And the bottom 4 or 5 spots are tight. We got Mason Ford at 415, Keith at 414, Evan Smith at 412, Eagle McMahon at 412 as well, though just a few decimal points behind. But then you have Ezra Aderhold, Paul Ulibarri, and Ben Calloway, all right at that 400, just under 400 mark. So Evan Smith in a Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship position. I know we'll get to talk to him and we'll find out a little bit more. But before we get into that, was curious on your feelings. Did you even know that he was sitting in that position? What do you feel about that?
I will say that we're talking Evan Smith, right? Because I'm texting and I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
I'm
we're both
texting
trying to
Evan,
work on this.
but I'm like, is that what I'm being asked about? Yeah, Evan. So there's a handful of these players that have been chomping at the bit here for a little while in tour standings. He's one of them, and it didn't surprise me to see him up there. I think obviously seeing him finish out in 4th place like he did was a call to action. We wanted to talk more to him, but not surprised. I think that was kind of my question to Gannon. That was kind of where I was trying to lead a little bit. We still have this pool of players that, are we at the top of our game? Are we getting better? Are they catching up? Is the pool getting deeper? And I think that's what's happening here, and Evan's going to show us that.
And real quick, it's not his best major Elite Series finish of all time. He has 2 third-place finishes. He has 3rd at 2023 DDO and 3rd at TrueBank Des Moines Challenge in 2022. But it is his most cash he's ever earned in any PDGA event, earning 3,700, 3,750 to be exact.
And this was probably the biggest event, even though it's not a podium. This is a big one.
Yes, certainly. Just amount of coverage as well is really important. If you sneak up into that 3rd place finish, but don't really get to be featured as much, it feels like it's less of an accomplishment, even though that the final place is the same.
Fun fact: over or under, is he playing better this year than last year, averaging finishes the way we do for our game? What do you think? How's he performing this year?
He played well last.
I can tell you, I already did the math.
Oh, Josh,
okay. Well, I haven't done the math. You're leading to me to jump down the path of guessing it's better, but I kind of want to pick it's worse, but that's probably I don't know. It's to say that last year was maybe sneaky good, but
Josh, what's your math say?
I can tell you every year for the last 4 years that he's had at least one event, Elite or Major, his season average has gotten better every single year. So USDGC in 2021, 58th place, and then his averages per year go 28.5, 26.0, 25.9, and so he continues to get better each year.
So there you go. If you're breaking it down to the points, that's accurate. If you're rounding to the nearest whole number, it's the same as last year. So slightly
very,
better.
very close.
Maybe
Except
about half a place.
Right. And this event was not his highest finish, but it was his highest rated event ever on tour, which is interesting. So he's performed higher on the podium with less rating, and so we can debate ratings till we're blue in the face.
The point I was going to make.
He played very well in a tough tournament.
Yeah, and the point I was going to make, and Josh broke it down to the fine details, which is perfect. He's playing pretty much what he's expected to as of last year. He's doing the same thing this year. He's not popping off, but he's always in that a top 25 player, if you will, right in that range, and that means he can sniff out those podiums or maybe one day get a win. So that's where he's
sniffing.
At. He's sniffing. What, is he sniffing the link, or are we gonna get him?
Yeah,
in?
I'm trying. Okay. I'm trying.
Thanks for that work, Ben.
Speaking of the leaderboard more, also finishing tied for second with Isaac Robinson was Richard Wysocki. I mean, I'm playing right to it, but can you guess who has the most podiums for major and elite series events this season on the Disc Golf Pro Tour season? Who has the most podiums in MPO?
Let me look it up. No.
Wait, did you just say who has the most podiums in MPO this year?
Yes, Disc Golf Pro Tour season. No, it's not Ganon Buhr.
Okay.
What?
Podiums, not wins.
Right. Yeah, no, I understand what you're asking. I still thought
Does a
it would have
podium
been
count
Ganon,
as a
but-
win, or you just no?
Yes. A win is a podium. So you will always
I
have
don't know.
as
I'm going to
many
go down
or
the
more
list.
podiums as
Ricky.
wins. There you go. That was the
All right.
answer. I was leading right into it, but I certainly
I
could still
did
guess
skip
those
over
Ganon.
AB on purpose, so it wasn't
Yeah.
completely blind.
Well, yeah, here's the neat thing.
'Cause
AB
AB's
only has
bounced
4
around.
podiums, and all 4 are his wins. But no, Ricky's sitting at 10 podiums on the season, 3 of those being wins. Gannon's at 6 wins, but only 9 are podiums. Ganon has more top 10s at 19 total top 10s, while Wysocki has 14. So Wysocki, if he's finishing in the top 10, it's, more often than not on the podium, which is really incredible to see the consistency there. But just to note, he gets another podium. I know we're working with Evan right now, and he might be ready here shortly. So
I think he's ready.
I will let Matt and Ben give me the ready, and I'll stop talking when that does happen. All right.
We're going to bring in Evan Smith, everybody. We'll do it this way. Ooh, no, not that way. Watch this. This should work. No? Still no. Hold on. Sit tight. I will figure it out.
Oh yeah, he joined
with a different link.
Joined looking up the room name. I think you're right. Instagram.
Okay, so sit tight here for 1 second, because I'm gonna go ahead and fix it up here while you guys keep talking now. So sit tight. I'm gonna do some back end stuff. So keep going for another minute.
All right. Well, next, I don't have any stats on him, but we don't really need stats to talk about him. But Simon Lizotte finishes 5th. So, Josh, I'm just throwing it straight over to you. Maybe you don't have much to say, but Simon Lizotte getting a 5th place finish.
And now Josh.
Josh is muted. I think he muted himself.
Oh no!
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is like back.
Sorry
to
guys.
beginning.
Sorry,
We're
Reddit,
multitasking.
you better not go off
triple-tasking.
on us.
No.
Reddit, I'm begging you.
I picked Simon to pop, so there's that, Evan. Meaning, like, I kind of thought that he might perform well here, and he performed pretty well, actually. I don't know. I think Simon, when he's just relaxed and doesn't feel undue pressure, and to him it's like every once in a while it all clicks, and this one didn't quite click all the way, but 5th is great. And I think, coming into the Northeast where he now currently resides, I bet you he's gonna be playing just fine.
He's gonna win.
Yeah, well, he might win one of the next 2 for sure, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't have a great track record at USDGC, but we'll see.
Well, you say that, but he finished 3rd last year.
Yeah.
So that was incredible. But of course, he has won MVP Open. I think GMC, he's had some good years, some bad years, missed the cut. So we'll certainly see how it goes.
All right, let's bring him in. Let's bring him in by hitting the right button. 3, 2, 1. Evan Smith, everybody. He just placed 4th place at a Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Plus. I think this could arguably be your best performance. Do you feel that way, Evan?
It's definitely up there. I think I have like 2 podiums. So other than those 2, I would say. Yeah.
We were just talking about those. It was Music City, I think, and Des Moines. And
Or
do you DDO? Sorry, do you feel like this was? So you don't feel like this necessarily with the bigger attention on it, the 4 rounds makes it bigger. A 4th place is better. You feel like the podiums are better.
That's a good question. I think I played better golf here
Okay.
than the other 2 events at DDO and Des Moines, but like I don't know. I feel like getting 3rd is better than getting 4th.
You're not wrong at
It
all,
is.
and it's just to feel out your
It's a good
opinion on
point.
that. We'll debate that, for you, which we were kind of doing before you came in. By the way, welcome to the show. I don't think have we ever had you on, and if we did, and I was here interviewing, I apologize because I just totally forgot. But I don't think we've had you on the show before.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So welcome to the show. I think Ben's gonna actually take the lead on this one. So let me throw it over to Ben here. Boom. There you go.
Hello. I'll take the lead, and if other hosts have questions, let me know. But what's up, Evan? How we doing?
Pretty good. Just got into Rochester, so
Oh,
playing an
you're
A-tier
playing
there this coming week.
the rally, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you had a great finish at D-Glow, as we said, but let's just talk more about kind of yourself and how you got your start in disc golf. And at what point did you realize you could be a pro?
That's a good question. Probably. So I started playing disc golf with my dad and my brother in high school. So that was like 2016, I guess 2015. And my brother was better than me, so that kind of annoyed me, and I started practicing. And then some guy like at like a course was like, "Hey, you should play like a tournament. Like you're pretty good." And I ended up playing a tournament in intermediate and got like 2nd. And then I was like, "Okay, I kind of like this like competition thing." And yeah, from then on, I just like enjoyed competing and throwing frisbees. I don't know. Yeah.
Was there ever a point where you realized, like, "Oh, okay, I can take?" First question, was your dream to be a pro as you got better, and then was there ever a point where you're like, okay, I can actually take this on the road and actually become a professional on the Elite Series?
Yeah. So I remember playing like a B tier in North Carolina, the Ocala Open, and like there were like probably like 7 or 8 thousand rated pros there. Like Barry Schultz was there, Schwebby was there, Dan Hastings was there. I think Michael Johansson was there, Nathan Queen was there. And like they were like, I mean, all those guys were probably like 10-20 at the time, or higher. And I was like 980, and I ended up averaging like 1050 and getting the win. And I was just like, okay, I think I can like do this. Like if I like if I've been practicing for like a year so far, like imagine what I can do with like 3 or 4 years. And like I'm already averaging 1050.
Yeah,
Didn't average 1050 for like another like year and a half or something like that, but it's fine.
it's a process. I love it. So you have been having a great second half of the season, after probably not so great first half, probably in your opinion, but the second half, I'm just gonna list it off real quick. You finished 7th at Des Moines Challenge, 1st at the Wilkesboro Summer Bash, and I know it's not Elite Series. I mention it because you mopped the field. You finished with -36, and second was -17, and it was an A tier. It wasn't some like local C tier. It was I remember seeing you what did you shoot the first round? It was something insane. Do you remember?
I think I shot a 15
Yeah.
down. Yeah. The next hot round I think was like a 7.
Yeah, so that's why I had to mention that one. And then now back to elites. We got 13th at Ledgestone, 13th at Idlewild, 21st at Worlds, and then we're wrapping it up with 4th at D-Glow, which I will say is pretty hot. And it seems like you did this last season too, kind of started a little shaky and then really was solid in the latter half of the season. So tell us more about what has been clicking recently. Is there a reason this trend happens, or is it just you just get more comfortable as the season goes by?
I think I just like settle into playing golf more. Yeah. I remember like to start the season, like my putting was just like awful. Honestly, like when you don't feel comfortable putting the disc in the basket from 20 feet, like it's hard at some of these courses to score well. Um, so I went home after like the Texas swing and just worked my putting for about a month. Um, while like the tour kind of went to like Jonesboro, and like there was like an off week in between Jonesboro, and there was like another off week here and there. And so I worked on my putting a lot. And then Champions Cup was the first event where I thought I actually putted the disc how I should. Um, and then just kind of like took that into like a few A tiers back home. Continued to like kind of like iron out some of my game that I needed to like work on and like really focus on. And then I went into Preserve with just like no expectations. Ended up getting like a top 20 there, and then just use that as like a stepping stone for the next few events. So
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot to mention that right before Des Moines, 19th at Preserve. So that was awesome. So let's talk more about Deglo. You just recently made an Instagram post saying you didn't cash at all at Deglo last year, and then you come in fourth. I believe we were saying earlier this was higher rated than your podium finishes. So, what was your game plan kind of going into this event?
um, yeah, honestly, just play safe, get a lot of pars. Um, I didn't do that like I actually did that pretty well the final like 3 rounds. I didn't do it amazingly the first round. Um, yeah, but like just kind of like that course is so long, and I throw decently far,
Mhm.
but I think I was the shortest thrower. I like looked at the results. I think I was the shortest thrower in like the top like 25, or I don't even know, maybe even further than that. But like I have like a decently long forehand, and like I feel like my foot my footwork is like one of like the best. I feel like just have like pretty good like body control. Um, and so like with all the slopes out there, and not even being able to get into like amazing must birdie position, it kind of just like lends itself to me playing for par a lot and not getting too stressed out about
Mm.
like getting birdies. If that, I'm not sure if that made sense or
No, it
not,
makes
but
sense.
yeah,
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 that makes perfect sense. Where it's just like you're not over being over aggressive where you're in position, you're like accepting par, which is a lot easier sometimes than being aggressive and going for birdie and then going OB, because people were talking about how crazy OB was on Deglo in some positions. So it's funny you say that about your footwork and stuff like that, because I actually had a question pertaining to that. In my opinion, you have one of the slower, more methodical backhands and forehands off the tee compared to others on tour. Is there a reason you do this, or was it just something that came naturally?
um, so the reason for the forehand is that like I had like shoulder issues and stuff, which is why like I like kind of like do like a pump motion, kind of like Paul esque.
Hmm.
Um, and so like that kind of helps like open up my shoulder a little bit and like stretch it out. So that's more for like mechanics and just like staying healthy. Um, and then for like the backhand, um, I like always just try to like have like the same like I don't know, like same mindset, I guess. Like if I can't throw like my swing shouldn't change that much from a touch shot to like a power shot. Um so I can use like my backhand run up and like everything in touch shots and power shots. And it doesn't take that much to like slow it down or speed it up, depending on what like disc I'm throwing or what angle I'm throwing or whatever. But like you see like a lot of guys who like kind of like run into like their shots, and it's hard for them to like down tempo. Um, and like they throw super far, but like at like a lot of these courses, um like most pros can throw like 400 or 450, like doing like a pretty slow run up. Like they don't have to like gallop into it. And so
Mhm.
like I mean I can throw 500, I can throw like a little bit over that, like if I really like get into it, but like I just figured out that I don't have to every time.
Cool. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. So it's more of just like you're playing for position rather than getting that extra 50 feet, which makes a lot of sense. And I think that lends to what you were saying with the whole par thing, how, you're just playing for the position and that's how you've been finishing well. So more just random form talk because it pertains to you. You were shown working with overthrow disc golf on your form over the weekend. So just talk to us about that. Was this something you are still implementing? Did it better your game? And can you tell us the reason you went to get form coaching as a touring pro?
Yeah, I think it's important to like take like a step away from like especially over the off season, step away from throwing n- like throwing shapes and stuff, and just trying to like focus on how to best like form wise throw. And so I think like Josh at Overthrow like does like a really good job of breaking it down. Him and everybody over there, him and Mikey in particular. And they've done a really good job explaining to me like where like my form like needs help and stuff. And I've tried to like incorporate like a lot of that stuff into like what I'm doing, and it's helped a lot. Like I've put in like a lot of like smaller tweaks. I haven't done like everything that they've said to do. But for the most part, I think like this off season, I'm probably gonna go back up and try to change up a few more things. While the season's not happening. Right now, my form feels fine for what it is. I mean, I feel like a fourth place finish at a
Yeah.
4 round event kind of speaks for itself. But I mean, it still definitely can get better. So I'll head back up there this off season and keep working with them.
Sweet. And then just one more question for me, and then we can give it to Matt or Josh. So you've been one of the OG players that have been sponsored by Clash. Before a lot of they started signing a lot of people, there was the Evan Smith tour series, I believe is the mint. I want to say the clear mint. But how did this relationship first start, and how is it going now? And just further, if you want to further expand on this, any disc you've been loving from them?
Yeah. So I think um, who reached out to me? I think AJ Carey and Nicolo Castro reached out to me. I was like 1020 rated, I think, at the time, and didn't have a sponsor. Well, I had like one local sponsor, but like other than that, I didn't have anybody or like any big manufacturers. And I was looking to go on tour that summer with one of my buddies from back home, and then Clash reached out to me and they sent me a box of discs. And um, I mean, I think like the mint and the popcorn were both in that box, and so was the berry. And I mean, their discs are awesome. Their plastic is amazing, super consistent. Right now, I've been throwing most, so I can throw an open bag because they don't have like a full
Yeah.
lineup right now. Um, but I've been throwing mostly their like approach and like mid-range discs. So I bag the mint, the peppermint, the popcorn, the berry, the guava's in and out of my bag. the ginger, and the millet, which is a new clash disc. It's like a roller disc. I was throwing it a lot on what is that hole 6? Like uh, you like throw like a roller off the tee and you try to get as far up there as possible. But it's just a super flippy fairway driver. Um, so yeah, it's
Sweet.
kind of money.
The millet. Is that food related? I've never even heard of that.
I honestly don't know. I think it's like a Europe thing. But
Yeah, because
I should probably look it up. Honestly, that's my bad.
so I met the owners. They came to my expo, Timu, and he was just feeding me this black salty licorice, and I just could not get enough of it. So like I'm sure they have some exquisite fine dining over there that I just have never heard of.
Millet?
But enough about
By the way, was
millet.
it millet, like Millet?
Yeah.
It says
Mullet.
it's a fast-growing cereal plant.
Yeah, it's like a grain.
Millet.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes,
Yo,
definitely
that's
heard the
Millet.
computer pronounce millet for us.
Millet.
Yeah. Any you, Josh or Matt? Those are my questions. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. So Evan, thank you for joining us. Often we interview the winners, which means we hear from a lot of the same folks. But I'd love to hear a different perspective of somebody who's grinding on the tour. And so I actually want to talk about the quote unquote the grind. So you entered, at least if I filter for what we call elites and majors, USDGC in 2021. In 2022, you had 7 events. Last year, you had 11 events. This year, you're at 12 with a few more. So you've kind of slowly increased. And this year, you're on the cusp of making it to the Pro Tour Championship, where you're sitting right now. So just kind of curious, what's been your approach to entering the tour? And do you feel like you're a full-time professional on the tour, chasing down the events? Or are you taking a different tact? Like how are you traveling? How are you choosing which events to play? Just curious your approach.
Yeah. So a lot of that had to do with the fact I was in school still the last 2 years. I just graduated last May. Like not this past May, but May of 2023.
Yep.
And so after that, I did basically a full schedule from then on. But didn't go over to Europe. Didn't go over to Europe this year or the West Coast. Yeah, travel's just I mean, one of those things that's kind of like, I mean, if I can get there, it's great. But I'm not gonna break the bank to try to get there. And so the West Coast was kind of hard to get all the way over there when there was 8 years back here that I could like basically guarantee a top 5 at, even if I played like if I played anywhere decent. And so hopefully next year I'll be able to get to like a few more events. But it kind of just depends on how well I'm doing, or how much my sponsors incentivize actually going there. So
Yeah, well, I guess you can pick up $1,000 at an A tier. It's going to cost you more with less of a chance of the income, right? So, which is why I ask. I'm just curious how different players are making those decisions. What's your primary mode of touring? Are you driving? What's
yeah, yeah. So me and my wife drive together, and we split Airbnbs with some other guys on tour. Yeah, so I tour
Awesome.
around and like split Airbnbs with like Ty Love and Justin Rozak and Randon and Silas and a bunch of the guys.
Awesome. That's cool. That's great. So I mentioned the Pro Tour Championship. So is that like something that's on your radar? Like as a player who's having, as Ben said, your second half of the year has been much stronger than the first half. So you're kind of slowly climbing those ranks. Like, is that something you care about and are watching for? Or are you just playing the events and seeing where it falls?
That's something that like I'm definitely conscious of outside of the events. I try not to look at like score or like tour standings like during the event, if at all possible, just because like that just adds, I mean, I already want to play like well, right? So
Right.
it's like, why would I want to add even more pressure to that, or like think about other things than putting the disc in bounds or birdieing this hole or whatever. So I try not to think about it during the event, but my goal was to get inside the top 32 by the playoffs. So hopefully I can actually take a few strokes. Like if I play the next two events pretty well, I can start picking up strokes as well on people. So
Awesome. Hey, kind of a random question, but it happened this past weekend with Calvin Lundquist on the lead card. He picked up a fellow competitor's disc, and everyone's getting a little humor out of it. I'm sure in that scenario for him, he was a little taken back. What do I do? Do you know what the rule is there? If someone in your group, forget that scenario, you're in your own group, someone picks up your disc, what do you guys do? Do you say, hey, just put it back? How do you play that?
Yeah, you just put it back. It's no penalty unless they move it on purpose, which Cal didn't mean to. So
right.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just thought that was interesting. Other than that, man, we've asked you a fair amount and we appreciate your feedback here. We'll have you on again sometime. I bet it will be when you get your first win. It's coming, man, right? It's coming. You feel it?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Don't
awesome.
Be surprised.
Feel free. Any shout outs to sponsors or anybody else? We talked about some of them, but anything, can we support you in any certain way? By the way, you had your first 100 or so events. You earned $65,000, but in your last 20 events, you earned 22. So your percentage is going up. Obviously, you talked about touring more often or full time versus being in school, and all that's changing as well. So hopefully that keeps on the up and up. But how can people support you?
Yeah, go over to yeetshootdiscs.com. I have some tour series over there. Custom stamp popcorns, cookies, sodas, honeys, basically everything.
Making me hungry though.
Make sure to check out Clash Discs anywhere. They make some great plastic. They just came out with ring plastic as well as tone plastic. Would definitely check those out. Tone's like an under mold instead of like an MVP over mold. It's pretty sweet. So check that out. And then Tacky Sacks and Peterman Realty sponsors me from back home. So yeah.
Awesome. Totally appreciate it. I didn't just glance at it. I probably could. Might be awkward to put you on the spot. Are you making it to Maple Hill for the playoff?
I will be. I'm not sure I'm signed up right now.
Okay.
But I will be.
All right. Your PDGA profile shows that you're coming, but
okay. Then
you signed up. That means you're signed up.
Yeah, so we'll break the news for you. You're signed. Yeah, you're playing American Flying Disc Open this weekend.
Okay.
Then you'll be at Smuggler's Notch, and then Maple Hill and USDGC.
The reason I asked about Maple Hill, that's where more or less this podcast originated from, is right in the neighborhood of Maple Hill. So we'll be here. We'll probably run into you.
I met Evan last year. Do
you have any advice for Evan on how to play better, Ben? Any advice for Evan? He gave advice to Gannon earlier. I'm just curious if he has any for Evan.
Yeah. Putts are important. Make sure it's a little nose down, maybe. Sticks in the chains a little better. Yeah.
A little nose down?
I don't know, dude. I'm just making up stuff.
I love it. We'll do that. Maybe we'll just call that segment. We'll let Ben close out with, advice from Ben.
Advice to pros.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I need the advice, but
we appreciate it so much, Evan. We'll see you around. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Peace out.
Thank you.
Oh, Evan's here. I just knocked Ben out. Let me go back. There's a lot of changing around today.
You know what? It's not a popular name enough that I'm so used to being the only Evan that when anyone else says the name Evan, I don't get out of my head to think it's not me. All of you guys, Matt, Ben, Josh, Nick, like those are all common names that like, it's got to feel normal that when someone says your name, it's like, you just like kind of have to assume it with a little bit more. No, like me, like you guys were just talking like, how do we give advice to Evan? And I was like, haha, that's funny. Yeah, I could use advice from Ben. But then it's like, you're not talking to me. Like, that's just what goes through my mind.
I just asked Chat GPT what advice they'd give for a professional disc golfer, and it's way too long to answer. Yeah. It's pretty incredible. Maybe if I followed that step by step. Wow. Anyway,
let's transition just a bit as we get ready to wrap up. Ready as in the next 10 minutes. I brought up Calvin Lundquist in that play. I don't want to get serious about this. I more want to be
it's
like,
not worth getting serious.
no. I want to get more into this moment because and Evan kind of broke it down, and I see online chat boards, talking about, well, intent doesn't matter, and did he intend? Like, okay, I'm moving on from that. That is fun to talk about. We've done that at our show. We'll do it another time. I am watching the videos. I think Jomez put some out and others. The moment of everybody, Simon is amused in some way, like what just happened, this half grin.
He's like,
Calvin's like,
Calvin's
what do I
so
do? And Calvin Lundquist is like I'm holding two discs in my hand, looking around, and like, I'm having a brain freeze. Who was the guy who walked over and was like really helping?
Well, Isaac was there.
Oh, it was Isaac. Yeah, Isaac was the most helpful. He's like,
yeah, Isaac kind of had a smile on his face too, but it's kind of like, all right, we're gonna give you some advice.
Calvin's reaction was one of the funniest things ever, and it's gonna be recreated. It's gonna be memed.
He put out his own video, right, with like a song dubbed over, and it goes black and white, and it's just like him looking at.
It was just like his like blank stare, like,
and then kind of the
like,
slight hand shrug. He just kind of does his hand kind of like
just
like,
whatever, just put it down.
I think it was a squinted eyes. He was like, "Is this happening?"
Right.
But
what's the irony that his name's Calvin?
I know.
Like, is there any irony in that at all? It's like, oh, like Calvin picked up Calvin's disc.
Yeah,
like,
he just saw that it said Calvin on it.
It struck me as funny. Again, there's serious conversations to be had in some level with it, but the other side of it is, I think, the kid was in a place he hasn't been. I don't know if he was. Cameras are on you. If you ever done that, I mean, I've been on Simon's vlog, and even that one camera, the first time you're on there, you're kind of like, there's a camera watching.
The first shot's tough.
He putts, he misses, and he's just like,
it's the
you
subconscious.
Can tell he's just kind of
pressure.
like not even
There's
looking
like
what he's picking
around.
up. He's just kind of
he just reached down and the truth is, it was within reach where he was putting, right? And there's kind of that peripheral vision. You reach down and you pick up whatever, right? So like, it's not really absurd. Like, it's not like some weird thing he did. It was just in the moment, and all of the after effect. It's funny. And for anybody seriously debating the rule, first of all, if you're just having fun debating the rule, like I actually get that kind of like legalese, like pick it apart. But seriously, like, come on, they don't need to like debate that. They figure it out and they put it back as close approximation as where it was. And you play on, which is what happened. And Calvin hit the putt, and we all get to laugh about it.
I know. Imagine if Calvin didn't. That would have been like.
Well, it would have gotten weird, even though it shouldn't be a legitimate excuse. It just would have been weird, right? Because
I think for me, that's like Cal Lundquist, like, in the NBA they have welcome to the league moments. I feel like that's his like welcome to the league.
Yeah, and I hope he can just take it with a grain of salt, because like it's kind of like, you just got it happened, and thankfully it wasn't worse. You didn't do something like stupid for your career. You made a funny mistake on camera, documented forever.
All right, moving on to the next topic. Disc golf playoffs. Dude, disc golf playoffs, I can remember, and probably many can. I've been disc golfing now maybe 17 years, so hearing that playoffs were a thing, it's like, well, what does it even mean? Like, what does playoffs mean for disc golf? It's been refined over the years a little bit every time. Evan, can you kind of give us, from your standpoint, and I know it's Disc Golf Pro Tour more, but you're stats guy, your number guy, you know what's happening here, the players. The playoffs, it's weighted more on points. You already told us you can't drop anything from this point forward. So is it just more points? Is that all there is to it? People get eliminated after the first round kind of thing?
Yeah, it's not just points, but I think to the fans, to the general audience, the points are going to be the biggest thing. Because you're going to be focusing on, Holland Hanley compared to Missy Gannon compared to Kristen Tatar, or Ganon Buhr compared to Ricky Wysocki compared to Nicholas Antila. And for that, the points of these events matter the most. Again, there's no drop, so it's whatever they get from this event is what they get. It just values a lot more because of that, and it means a lot to have good finishes here. You'll see people jumping into the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. You'll see people falling out of it. You'll see people jumping into a better stroke advantage as well, because remember, that's the huge aspect to the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. So all the points will matter the most, but there is more to it, as you were suggesting. There's a registration aspect to it, as in, you have to be in a certain position in order to register in certain waves to this. So I don't know the exact numbers, but something like you have to be top 80, top 70, somewhere in that for MPO in order to make it in. So it's not, with tour card holders and the tour getting harder to play on every single year, needing a tour card is important. But now it's, how did you play during this season? Even if you have a tour card and you just stunk it up all season, or you got injured and couldn't play as many events, you might be stuck on the outside looking in. So it's a way to narrow down the field just a little bit, and then narrow it down a little bit more. And then we hit the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship, where it's really narrow and it's only 32 and 20 for the two divisions. And so it's the first steps on bringing it down.
So storytelling, as Statmanda would know, is a big part of sports. I think the Pro Tour has gotten better at this every year with the playoffs, but we talked about it multiple seasons ago, and we're still talking about it, is as much as it's neat to see who's gaining strokes or points on the field and who's going to go into the end with maybe the most advantage to the finale, I think it's almost more interesting to look at the person who has to hit that last putt to make it to the next round of the playoffs. For instance, it wasn't playoffs, but Kyle Klein had to hit that big putt that they were able to highlight and show to make the cut, right, at D-Glow. I think it would be very interesting for them to throw some cameras on those players who are really close and watch the story as it gets further into this first round of the playoffs. But we're going to Smuggler's Notch. It is definitely a player's favorite location. They talk about it between the venue itself, the two style of courses, and the quality and caliber that they are. Players love this place. And we're going to see players that perform really well in the woods, do really well in the woods and in the open. Now, Isaac Robinson won. I think that was the last time we had, he's played there since. Never mind. But has he played there since? Yeah. He won last year Worlds there. Then they went straight to D-Glow. No, that was D-Glow. I mean, sorry, that was Green Mountain. What am I saying? Has he been
last
back
year?
Since?
No, last year Worlds was at Vermont.
Right.
Then they went down to Maple Hill and USDGC in the Pro Tour
So he hasn't been back.
No.
Okay. So
the only one he could have done is the more of local Brewster Ridge Open, but
right.
Pretty sure Isaac Robinson didn't play that, although it is a great event.
And I was going to say, you're going to see players who do well in the woods, and then players who do well in the fields, and then you're going to see Isaac Robinson. I was going to say, there's a potential here to talk about going into this course, those players that do well, obviously always, but these, I don't know. I'm impressed by Isaac Robinson, and it's weird, right? I on the box, Dixon Jowers, he has a Facebook group. Used to be a lot more involved in the disc golf scene than he is now. But he made a comment, and we've repeated it last week. It was like, when you watch Isaac Robinson play in the World Championships, you think, how is this guy not winning all the time? Every other time you're thinking, how does he win anything? Or how did he win Worlds? And that's kind of where I'm at with Isaac. He's incredible, but you can't count on him to win. Let's see what happens. He's finishing out strong, to Ben's point. It's kind of doing the same thing as last year. Had he won this last one, the Pro Tour Plus, and then he won one more, it would be an insane season once again. So he's pretty close. He's still kind of knocking on the door. Any thoughts, guys, as we get ready to close this out? Playoffs, what are you looking forward to? Is there anything about it that excites you?
The fact it's the playoffs is kind of still a little bit like lost on me, just the term and whatnot. But I do, at this point, I've kind of just embraced the fact that it is a different class of events. The points are worth more. They whittle down the field. So they do feel more important to me, because it kind of feels like it's the penultimate to the season. So I recognize these two events are unique. I don't know why they feel like playoffs, but I look forward to them. I think they are special.
I think all eyes have to be on Ganon Buhr for what he can set historically.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to assume at this point he's got first place into the Pro Tour Championship locked up, and then it's anything happens in that event. He has a stroke advantage, but it's 10 strokes over the bottom of the field. It's not 10 strokes over the next competitor. So it's really anyone's game still when you get to the Pro Tour Championship. But I would be very surprised if he was going to blow it and someone else, Ricky or anyone else who's even further down the leaderboard, catch him at number one. But it's about what he can do in the season. He mentioned it on the interview that he thinks he's going for one of the best seasons ever. I think that's a tall ask on a purely just like result base compared to Paul McBeth's 2019 or his 2015. Ricky has some seasons that were incredible, although I noted earlier he didn't have as many wins, but the consistency, and the Worlds win too, which Gannon also noticed he didn't get a Worlds win. He only has one major, which to say only, he still has one major and 5 other Disc Golf Pro Tour wins, but still he is going for that legacy cementing season. 9th player to ever win 10 major Elite Series events in their career in MPO. He's already like cementing himself as a figure in disc golf history. He's only 18 years old. He's still a teenager. Maybe he's 19 now, Ben, you would know. But
18, I think.
Yeah.
Who?
Ganon Buhr.
19.
Oh, he's 19. Look at that.
Oh.
But still,
Did not
he
know.
only a teenager, and he's cementing himself. Like if he retired tomorrow, like you could compare
He's
his
the greatest of all time.
I mean, that's a tall
I'm just
comparison, but
joking.
you could say his career is better than, a number of players who had great careers for a number of years. That's a very vague statement, but still, it's like it's already there, and he's a teenager. But this season is one where you can cement this as one of the best seasons of all time in disc golf and MPO. And he could do it with 1 or 2 playoff wins. He could do it with a USDGC win, getting a Pro Tour championship. I don't think he's won any of these. You won USDGC. Wow, I already stepping over words. Anyways. I'll round it out there because I'm rambling on. Legacy cementing season that Gannon could get with maybe another win or 2.
Certainly. I think he's bummed he didn't get Worlds, which is an obvious statement, but I think everybody wants Worlds, but I think just where he's at, where he felt he was at, comments he made early on in that tournament, I think that's the one that got away. And he's got a long career ahead of him, but Matt, I don't know if we're getting close to wrapping. Just very briefly, I don't know all the details, and we probably don't need to, but we saw Paige Pierce DNF after round 2, so just our condolences to her and her family. I believe maybe it was her grandfather. She did post about it on Instagram, but passing. So just condolences to Paige, and obviously prioritizing family is the right decision. So just wanted to express that here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we made it to this point where we say Nick officially did not make the show. We weren't sure.
Unless he gets in now.
I saw something
Tell
while we
somebody
were
you love
going
him.
on here about no microphone showing up in his computer settings and other things happening, Olympus and all the stuff he's got going on. So thanks to him. Thanks to our sponsors. Again, shout out to Disc Golf 978. Fantastic thing we have going on here with them. They have all of your disc golf needs. They will do free shipping over $25, and they've got the best selection, quick shipping, and custom apparel, as Ben mentioned earlier. So definitely be sure to check them out. Use code WeLove978. Other than that, the swing is coming to the Northeast, and that's where we all reside.
Go.
So I'm pretty sure brush shoulders, we'll have conversations, good times. We probably are not doing an in-studio big deal like we've done in previous years because I'm still in a weird transition with my new house. We'll see, but we'll keep you in the loop on that.
And we're all gonna be up at GMC.
All of us.
I'm just speaking into existence.
Speaking it into existence. All right, guys. That's it. Until next time, I don't know. Nick says tell somebody you love them, so I'll carry that tradition. But until next time, we'll catch you out there somewhere. We love when you say hi when you're up in this neck of the woods. We appreciate it. Peace out, everybody.
And we love you.
Later.